Shalom Yeladim. Do you know that during the Chag of Sukkot, we have special guests that come to our sukkah? They are called the Ushpizin. Ushpizin is Aramaic for guests. These special guests, you cannot see them, but they come and visit us in our sukkah each night. I'm going to give you a hint, and you are going to tell me who is the guest that's coming to our sukkah. On the first night of Sukkot, our first guest has a wonderful tent. It has 4 doors because our guest loved to do Hachnasat Orchim. Do you know who he is? If you guessed Avraham, then you are right. Look over here. There is Avraham's tent. The next night, we have another guest. This guest was waited for a long time by his Abba and Ima. In fact, when his Ima heard that he was on the way, his Ima Sarah laughed. Who do you think it is? Later, he almost became a present for Hashem. If you guessed Yitzchak, you are right. There is a picture of the Mizbeach, where Yitzchak almost became a korban. Hashem did not want him to be a korban. Hashem wanted to see how much love he and Avram had. The next night, we have another guest. This guest had a twin. And when he was born, he was holding on to the heel of his twin. Later, he had a dream with a ladder going up and down, and Malachim were on that ladder. He had 4 wives and had to live in the house of Lavan for a long time. Who do you think our guest is? If you said Yaakov, you are right. Here is a picture of Yaakov's ladder and all the stones that he put around him to protect him on the way to the house of Lavan. Our next guest is a leader of Klal Yisrael. He helped Klal Yisrael when they were in Mitzrayim. He helped them when they were in the Midbar. This man davened every time Klal Yisrael made a mistake and Hashem got upset. This guest davened for Bnei Yisrael all the time. And he helped the Bnei Yisrael learn the Torah. Who do you think this guest is? If you said Moshe Rabbeinu, you are right. Look, there is Har Sinai. Our next guest on our next night is a man who wore beautiful clothing. He was the first Kohen Gadol, and he loved the Bnei Yisrael. He would make shalom between people all the time. Do you know who that guest is? If you said Aaron HaKohen, look over here. Here is the choshen that Aaron wore. It was so beautiful. And it spoke to Aaron messages from Hashem. Our next guest is someone who was put in a pit and went down to Mitzrayim and later became second to the king. He had a lot of dreams about his brothers bowing down to him. Do you know who that guest is? If you said Yosef HaTzadik, you are right. There are the wheat that was going to bow down to Yosef. Our last guest is someone who was very musical, but he was also a king and wore a crown. We say Tehillim when we are happy and when we are sad and when we want Hashem to listen to us. The Sefer of Tehillim is always near our heart. Do you know who wrote that Sefer? Our next guest, our last guest was and is David HaMelech. David HaMelech! Look at that. He played musical instruments, he wore a crown, and he wrote the Sefer of Tehillim. What amazing guests come and visit us in our Sukkah. Such an honor. So wonderful. We are so lucky. Should we sing a song to remember the Ushpizin, all the guests that come to our Sukkah? Let's sing the song together. Here we go. For 7 days, Ushpizin come. Oh, does that go? The other way around. Let's try again. The Ushpizin come for 7 days. In our Sukkah they do stay. The Ushpizin come for 7 days. In our Sukkah they do stay. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, Moshe, Aaron, and David. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, Moshe, Aaron, and David. Let's do it together. The Ushpizin come for 7 days. In our Sukkah they do stay. The Ushpizin come for 7 days. In our Sukkah they do stay. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, Moshe, Aaron, and David. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, Moshe, Aaron, and David. The Ushpizin come for 7 days. In our Sukkah they do stay. The Ushpizin come for 7 days. In our Sukkah they do stay. Who are they? Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, Moshe, Aaron, and David. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, Moshe, Aaron, and David. Last time. The Ushpizin come for 7 days. In our Sukkah they do stay. The Ushpizin come for 7 days. In our Sukkah they do stay. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, Moshe, Aaron, and David. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, Moshe, Aaron, and David. Wow, Yiladim, you know your Ushpizin. I am so proud of you. Now you can test all your family at home if they remember things about the Ushpizin. Enjoy, Yiladim. I'll see you soon.